Good morning, Year 4. And we are going to be carrying on reading from the story of King Arthur and his knights. What I'd like to do is just pause the video while you write today's date and learning objective, which is to retrieve answers from the text. So the next part in the story, chapter 2, is still from part 2, the winning of a sword. It's all got to do with that. We're going to start reading from page 36 today. But at the end of the last bit of our reading that we did, King Arthur had just had a battle with the Sable Knight, hadn't he? And he'd actually been quite seriously injured. And we know that Merlin was there as well. So the bit at the beginning of the chapter, up here, it says, how Merlin brought King Arthur away from the king of battle, how the king found a noble sword, and how he again fought with it and won that battle. So just knowing that little bit of information, can you please write a sentence or two? What do you predict is going to happen during this chapter? Pause the video now so you can do that. So I'm going to start reading, and we're going to start just with page 36. What I'd like you to be thinking about is, how do we know that Merlin is a kind wizard? Merlin brought Arthur to a part of the forest where there lived a holy hermit, known for his ability to heal. Now, a hermit is somebody that lives alone. Together, Merlin and the hermit gently removed Arthur from his horse. They bathed his wounds in pure water and laid him upon a soft couch of moss to rest. So that first paragraph there, it says that Merlin is taking Arthur to visit somebody who will make him better. So that shows that he's kind, doesn't it? And some of the words that it uses also suggest that he's kind and gentle, because he bathes his wounds in pure water and he laid him upon a soft couch of moss to rest. The next day, the hermit received some more visitors in the form of Lady Guinevere of Cameliard and her court, so the people that she travelled around with. They too had with them a suffering man. When Guinevere learned of the wounded knight, she asked to be taken to him. She had in her court a very skillful healer, often used to cure the hurts of knights injured in battle. When Guinevere was brought to Arthur's side, it seemed to her that she'd never seen quite so noble a knight. That's somebody who is kind and good, isn't it? And as Arthur looked up at the lady, it seemed to him he had never seen quite so beautiful an angel. The Lady Guinevere offered Arthur not only the famous healer, but a box filled with soothing cream to help heal his injured body. Guinevere had to leave right after that, but her visit did the trick. Arthur was much uplifted in heart, and within 3 days was entirely healed. Arthur vowed he would never forget Guinevere. He would not forget his unfinished battle with King Pellinore either. Arthur was sure things would have gone down differently if only his sword had not broken. He wanted to try again, but the fight had left him without any weapons. Merlin told Arthur of a magical place, the Lake of Enchantment. In the very centre of the lake, a woman's arm had often been spotted holding the brightest and most beautiful sword in the world. It was many times more amazing than the sword that Arthur had pulled from the anvil. The sword was known as Excalibur. Many a knight had drowned trying to get hold of it. I want to try, Arthur said, and the men set off. After a long journey, they found the lake. It was surrounded by lilies and daffodils. Almost at once, a woman's arm came out of the water. She was holding the most beautiful sword Arthur had ever seen. It was made of pure gold and many beautiful jewels. And that word there, enchantment, comes from the Lake of Enchantment, and that kind of makes me think of like magic and spells and things like that. And it certainly seems pretty magical, doesn't it? Somebody's arm coming out of the lake holding a sword. And remember, that sword is called Excalibur. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the text that we've just written. So there's page 36, 37 and 38. And you're going to use that to answer some questions about the text. So I'm going to read the questions to you. Then you can pause the video and have a really good go at finding the answers in the text. And you're going to be answering those questions in full sentences. So question 1, who visited the hermit? There's more than one person. Why did people go to visit the hermit? What are Arthur's and Guinevere's first impressions of each other? And how do you know? Which phrase, and remember a phrase is a group of a few words, tells us that Arthur began to feel better after Guinevere's visit? How long did it take for Arthur to be healed? What did Arthur blame for him losing his battle to King Pellinore? What is the name of the sword? And what tells us that trying to get to the sword is going to be dangerous? So there's a mixture of questions there. Some of them will be really simple answers, and some of them you'll have to do a little bit more thinking about. So remember, it's only pages 36 to 38 that we're looking at, and all of the answers you can find in those pages. So just pause the video and have a go at answering the questions in full sentences. Well done, Year 4. So I've written the answers here, and what I'd like to do is you can mark your own. Now, if you've not got any right, have a look at what I've written and then see if you can correct yours or maybe find a different explanation if you understand it a little bit better. So pause the video so that you can mark your questions. And I've got a little additional challenge for you now. So I want you to use the text. Now the sword that's coming out of the lake, there's lots and lots of details about it on page 38. I would like you to draw a really detailed picture of what you imagine that sword looks like. Use details from the text so you can add notes to your drawing to say why you've drawn certain things and what you think it looks like. And if you want to be really clever, maybe you can add some similes. The sword was shining like. It's up to you. Well done, and I shall see you tomorrow.